Hi everyone. Today we'll be talking about how to successfully navigate applications to US universities. I know it seems like a very daunting and challenging process, especially if it's your first time doing the application. So the purpose of this video is to take you through a step-by-step on the application process to make sure that it is not difficult and you get all the information you need and how to successfully navigate this process. Whether you're applying to an undergraduate program, a master's, a PhD, it doesn't matter. What's important is there are critical steps that are important for anybody applying, regardless of what program you're applying for. So I'll take you through a few steps that are very important to make sure the process is as seamless as possible. First, you need to know what you're applying for. You have to define your career. Why are you applying to this program? What do you hope to get out of it? Where do you want to apply to? What are your goals and your priorities? All of this seems like a bigger question, like, oh, this is so much to answer. Let's step one step at a time. Let's take it one after the other. First and foremost, you need to know what program you're applying to. For instance, I'm a PhD student in medical sociology, and while I did my undergraduate degree in sociology, my area of specialization now is not what I initially started with. So that's one of the big things that come up with people asking questions like, oh, I'm trying to apply for a different program from what I did in my undergraduate program. That is definitely possible. We know that life happens. People change the trajectory of their career, what they want to do, what they hope to get out of it. So that is definitely not a problem. That you did something different for your undergraduate program and you want to switch into something else for a graduate program is totally doable and very much acceptable. Now, this is for people applying for graduate. If you're applying for an undergraduate degree, you really need to be asking more questions about what are my goals? What do I really want to do? Where do I see myself? What am I most passionate about? Because all of these are very important questions you need to ask yourself. Because at the end of the day, what makes you succeed in any program you choose would be passion. It's not about what somebody else wants for you, it's about what you're deeply passionate about. So, for an undergraduate, that would be more stronger questions. I feel like if you are going for a graduate program, probably out of your experience from your undergraduate degree, you either decide, oh, I really like what I've been doing, I want to continue doing that, or no, I think I'm not really comfortable with what I did before, I want to switch trajectory. So that is not a problem, like I mentioned earlier. First of all, like I said, you have to understand what you want to do and what program you want to apply to. So throughout this video, I'm going to be using myself as an example to make things more smoothly, like better to understand rather than just using vague examples. So I did sociology for my undergraduate degree back home in Nigeria, and I knew I wanted to pursue a PhD in the US for further education. So while I did sociology back in Nigeria, if you want to do a master's or a PhD, there are other areas of specialization. And I think this is the norm for many other programs. Even people that I know in biological sciences, like they have different areas of specialization. People in physics, even people in mathematics, they have like the abstract mathematics or what. So you need to also know that, okay, what area am I focusing on? And it is also very fine if at this point you just know you want to do sociology or you want to do mathematics, but you don't know what area of specialization you really want to look at. That is also fine. The most important thing is you know what program you are applying to. So, for instance, I knew I was going to do sociology and my focus was on applying to schools with sociology program. But then if you already have your area of specialization noted, that makes things easier. So rather than just looking for schools that offer sociology program, I was specifically looking at universities that offer sociology program with research in aging. So I was interested in research about older adults, and that was very important for me. And now let me give you a trick. Before we go any further, do you know that Eduopportunity Network has an ebook that is totally free. You don't have to pay a dime. You don't have to pay anything for it. It is totally free. All you need to do is go on the Eduopportunity Network, download the ebook. They have a list of hundreds of universities in the USA for whatever degree or program you're applying to. The link to the programs and the link to apply, everything is on there. I don't know. Let me see if I can share my screen really quickly. To find that, let me see if I can share my screen. So I think the program is here. So if you go on the Edu Opportunity, let's see what page I want to share. So let me share my entire screen. I don't know. Okay, so if I'm sharing my entire screen, I think it's already open somewhere here. So I have the Eduopportunity Network here. So you just have to go search Eduopportunity Network USA. It takes you directly, and this is you click on this link and it takes you to the page. Once you click on this link, it takes you right here to the Eduopportunity Network, and you can just click on the link that says our store. On this store, you see shop our services, and right here and then you can see the fully funded academic programs. This saves you all the stress. If you already have a program in mind, you can easily just go on there and you can add to cart. And once you have added to cart, it asks for your information like your name, your address, your email address. Then after that, you are able to download it. So this is the downloaded version of the ebook. So as you can see, it has like the different fully funded for bachelor's program, master's, PhD. You have different programs here that you have the direct links to it. So you can easily just go on there. You can see the scholarships. We'll come back to this because this is an important part of it. But this is just to show you that the right step, the first step, looking for the schools, Eduopportunity Network already has resources on that. So now I'll stop sharing my screen and we can go back to the meeting. Okay, now that I've stopped sharing my screen, you find your program. Once you find your program, you are able to see, oh, this is sociology. Just basically just going on Google to look for universities in the USA offering sociology programs. There are hundreds of universities. If you are trying to streamline things, say, for example, you're interested in gender studies, or you're interested in demography, or you're interested in aging, you can also streamline your search to universities in the USA offering aging programs in sociology. That is if you want to go through the sociology program. There are also other programs that offers gerontology programs directly. But if you are a sociologist just doing a sub-specialization in aging studies, then that is one way to go about that. So like I said, that is the first most important part. When you go on there and you see your program, then you find all the requirements. For every university, there is always a requirement. So let's see if I can share my screen again. So I probably don't want to share the whole thing. Let me see if I can share a tab or something. So let's go to a new tab. I was going to share a new tab. Probably search for, say for example, I already know what I'm looking for. So I'm looking for Kent State University. I can click on Department of Sociology. It already brought it out. So I can go directly to the Department of Sociology. This way, this is the Department of Sociology. You can see the link for undergraduate programs, graduate programs. And for all of those programs, when you click on it, you are able to identify what the program requirements are. You see that? So now here it is. This is a program description. You can see what the program offers for both first year undergraduates, graduates, whatever it is. You can always see that. So like I said, you can see where the program list is. You see the program requirements. You click on the link, you will see all the requirements there. You can see requirements on, they probably want you to pay an application fee. You check what the application fee is. And I would say that for international students, application fee is an important part of the application process, because then you are converting the money into whatever currency they pay or they spend in your country. So you also are trying to make sure that you're not applying to schools that the application fees are too expensive, except you already have like those schools as your target, like, oh, I really want to go to Michigan State University. Oh, I want to go to Harvard. Oh, I want to attend Yale. That is a different ball game entirely. But if this is you just trying to explore, test the waters, I wouldn't say you apply to schools with too much or too expensive application fees. You can have like a mix of schools that have like medium or moderate prices and those that are also expensive. So um, another thing I would say is you do not apply to just one school. You have to apply to multiple schools. And the reason why I say apply to multiple schools is because it increases your chances of getting admitted. When I was coming to the US, the first time I did my application, I applied to two schools. I know that was a huge risk. A lot of people talk about it. I know people who apply to 6, 7, 8 schools, but then your financial capacity and the cost of doing the application is also one of the factors you need to consider. So I would say that apply to at least on average 3 to 4 schools to increase your chances of at least, even if you don't get admission somewhere, you get admission elsewhere. And applying to more schools is even more important if you are looking for some kind of funding or scholarships for your program. That is very, very important to apply to more schools to increase your chances that even if you get admitted in all these 4 schools, at least 1 or 2 of these schools will be able to offer you some funding, hopefully, and that way it increases your chances of achieving your dreams of coming to study in the US. So I would say apply to schools. I wouldn't say, oh, look for the least competitive universities when coming here. That is not what I'm saying. There are some schools that you see, and when you go online, you see, even on their website, they tell you acceptance rate is 15%, acceptance rate is 25%. You need to be careful of schools that acceptance rates are very low, because that means it is highly competitive to get into those schools. So I would advise that you can go for some schools where acceptance rates are low. If that is a school you are really particular about, that is okay. And there are some schools as well that the acceptance rates are kind of high. So you need to be in between, finding those schools that I feel like some people call like safety schools. They are safety schools in the sense that the possibility of getting admitted to those schools are high. You can have your target schools, like schools that, oh, I'm applying to Yale, I'm applying to Harvard, I want to go to University of Michigan. And there are some schools that you really just feel like, oh, well, I really don't have any dream or target for these schools, but they seem like my opportunity or my chances of getting into them are easier. So those are also some factors you need to consider. You don't just hear the name of a university and you're like, oh, I hear everybody talk about Harvard. I'm going to apply to Harvard. I want to go to Stanford, or I want to go to NYU. You need to also check what are your chances of getting into the schools. I'm not saying you do not have the chances. I'm not saying that you are not good enough for it. I'm just saying that while you're applying to these dream schools and these target schools, it will also be nice to have some safety options that in the worst case, I don't get admitted to these schools, I can apply to these safety schools and I can get in there. That is also an option. So, like I said, we have talked about identifying what program you want to apply for. I mentioned that the Eduopportunity Network has an ebook that is completely free to get that opportunity. I've talked about application fee, which is an important process, which would also be a major determining factor in maybe how many schools you can afford to apply to, and also like weighing the options of the schools who do not have the most expensive application fees, except they are like really like your target or dream schools that you've always wanted to apply to. We've talked about picking between dream schools and safety schools to increase your chances. We've talked about applying to at least 4 to 5 schools to increase your chances of getting admission and also getting the funding. Now, let's talk about funding since we're already on that conversation. There are different ways to get the funding when you apply to a UDS university, but I feel like the most important or the most widely explored option is through graduate assistantship, which can either be like a research assistant or a teaching assistant. So when you go online to this university's website, you should check for, oh, do they have like a graduate assistantship program? Do they have any form of funding whatsoever? So I'm gonna see, let's see if I can share my screen again to go through the process because I don't like abstract learning. It's better for us to see what we are doing. So let's share. Let me see if I can share a window or a tab or something. Let me see if I can do that. Okay. Okay. Yeah, let's say I say Department of Sociology, Kent State University. If I search there and I click on the Department of Sociology, Kent State University, you already see the graduate programs that come here. When you see the graduate programs, they will also have maybe something on like graduate assistantships. So you can see right here, you see graduate assistantships. You should be looking for that. You see, it spells out how much the stipend is, how often it is paid, what your work requirements are going to be, either research or teaching, how many hours, what you get to do to get that. So all of this information is very, very important to when applying to any program, especially for like a graduate program. I understand that it is very important to get some kind of funding for your program. So always look out for the graduate assistantships program. And I feel like on some website it's not as straightforward as what I just showed you. I feel like on some website it is more difficult. Do not be afraid to shoot an email to the contact information you find on the university website. Like send an email to somebody and be like, hey, I'm trying to apply to your program. I'm trying to apply to your department, but I wanted to know what are the opportunities available for funding. Do not be afraid. This is the time where you need to be as vocal as possible. This is the time where you need to be shooting as many shots as you can about getting this funding. So for myself, for instance, when I applied, I saw the graduate assistantship option. I saw how much they paid, what I had to do, and how many hours if I got it. So it is always a very good thing to get funding for your program. You have less stress about worrying about finances or taking extra job off campus or on campus, especially for an international student where you are not allowed to work off campus and you're only restricted to the limited number of jobs that are available on campus. It is very, very good if you get some kind of funding, either partial or full tuition. I know we are always gunning for the full tuition though. So that is an important part of it. But then we've been talking about all of this. What does the application look like? For every program, every university, every department, they definitely have steps on what they want. They have their requirements on what they need you to apply to. So I would say one of the most important things you need to do, once you identify your program, you identify the requirements for that program, and ask yourself, evaluate yourself, Do I have the requirements for these programs? They usually have things like, oh, you need to write a statement of purpose. You need to have like maybe an English test requirement, depending on your country of citizenship or where you're coming from. Some universities require GMAT, TOEFL, GRE. Those are some of the admission requirements. You probably need to, some programs strictly require that you have a faculty member who agrees to be your supervisor. This is not compulsory in all programs, but I have heard of programs that you only get it if somebody who is a faculty member on the team agrees to be your supervisor or advisor when you get into the program. So now let's talk about reaching out to people and reaching out for advisors. Whether or not your program requires you to have an advisor, I think it is always a good thing to reach out to members of the faculty. Like I said, I always like to show examples of what I'm saying. Say, I want to share my screen again. If I wanted to share a window and I come here and I share. So if you go back here, you can always see people. This is the department website and you see people. So when you see people, it will give you an option depending on it. You see, you can see advisors, full-time faculty, faculty. Just click on faculty. It doesn't matter if they were full-time or not. These are examples of faculty member in the Department of Sociology and Criminology. So you can see their names, their email address, their contact is all on there. So at that point, it is very, very advisable. Once you found somebody that has your area of research interest, shoot an email. Be civil, be formal. Hi, Professor so and so. My name is this. I graduated with whatever, a first class degree from the University of so in Namibia or in Kenya or in Ghana, from Nigeria. I've had this number of years of experience. This is my research area, or this is what I've done, and this is what I'm hoping to do. I've looked at your work and I'm really interested in working with you. I hope to apply in the fall semester or in the spring or whatever. Just shoot an email. And I'm not saying you strictly have to email one person. You can email multiple people if they all have like they're working in your research area or your research interest. Feel free to shoot from them. But then keep an open mind. Faculty members are busy. Some may have time and they reply. Some may not reply. That is not a red flag that, oh, I won't get into this school. When I was coming to Kent State, I emailed two professors here. None of them replied. And one of the people who didn't reply is my current advisor at this moment. No bad blood. You understand what I mean? So at the end of the day, people eventually have to or get to work with you when you succeed and get into the program. So that is not a red flag that you're not going to get into the program because somebody in there did not email you or reach out back to you. So I would say, regardless, reach out to a professor, talk to them, tell them about your research interest, ask for guidance if possible on maybe something they advise or a way you can go about your application process. If you're lucky enough to find somebody that replies you, that's good. That's a very good sign. So somebody may reply you for that university, you don't get in. Somebody may not reply you for that university and you get in. So it is not a determining factor, except it is a requirement. However, if it is a requirement and the university states explicitly on their website that you need to have somebody on the faculty who agrees to be your advisor for you to get in, then you have to take things more seriously. You have to prepare your CV. List your accomplishments, your qualifications, what you have done, what you're working on, what you are open to do. Send it to these advisors, pitch yourself, sell yourself to them, and tell them why it will be good for you to get accepted or for them to work with you. Talk about mentoring, talk about all of the things you hope to get for them. And don't go empty-handed, don't go blindly. You need to also have researched these professors, read about their works, their research, go online, look at their CVs. Most faculty have their CVs posted on their websites, on their portfolios, on the department website. So read into their work, look at their research interest, talk about it, let it feel more like I have read into you. I have done my homework. Don't go to them empty-handed. So that's one of the way you can bag a faculty support in a situation where it is a requirement to have a faculty member agreeing to be your advisor to get into the program. Once you have gotten all these steps out of the way, you need to start preparing for your application documents. Most universities, I think all universities would require your transcripts, your certificates. Some universities allow you to upload unofficial transcripts from whatever university you graduated from, and then your university can now send the official transcripts directly to the university. Some do not allow unofficial transcript. They want the university to send your transcript directly to them, especially if you're an international student, to ensure that you're sending them the original or verified copies. They want the university you graduated from to be the one to send the transcripts and to them. You can upload your own certificate. Your university does not have to do that, but I feel like transcript, they always want the original copy sent by the university. You need to have your transcripts ready. If the university requires for a GRE or GMAT, it is a good time to start writing those exams and getting those good results. In most cases, if it is a requirement, you don't have a choice but to do it. But in some cases, it's not a requirement, but it also helps people to increase their chances of getting admission or getting funding. Say, for example, you get good grades in those examinations. A very, very important application document that might probably even require a whole video on its own will be the statement of purpose. The statement of purpose is usually a requirement for application for, I think, basically all programs, especially graduate programs. So usually the requirement of the statement of purpose is to sell yourself. Why do you deserve to be in this program? Why do you deserve to get funded to be in this program? These are some of the most important talking points you have to have in your statement of purpose. And I feel like a lot of times you have a lot of things to write about. You have so much you have done. You have so much to say. But then that is where restrictions come in. Most programs have like a specified limit. Some have like word requirements, some have like page requirements, usually ranging between 2 to 3 pages maximum, where you have to answer all the questions. I feel like some schools just want you to write a statement of purpose. But I think some other universities explicitly state what they want you to talk about, what you have done, what you are doing, how do you think you are going to contribute to the program, what are your career goals, and how will the program help you to achieve them. These are some common questions universities ask for statement of purpose. I would say the statement of purpose is one of the most important defining factors applying to universities in the USA. When I was going to write my statement of purpose, I went online, talked to people, but at the end of the day, nobody knows you better than you know yourself. You know your story, you know your journey, you know where you're coming from, you know what you aspire to do. Now, let me give you an instance. When I did my undergraduate program in Nigeria, I did my undergraduate program in sociology. Then I did a master's, which was in industrial sociology. And like I mentioned earlier, that you did something different before and you want to switch to something else, it's very doable. It's because I'm a living witness to that. I did industrial sociology back home, but then I had a life-changing experience where my grandmother had some experiences with elder abuse, and I really got very passionate about researching older adults, aging, elder abuse, and all of that stuff, like caregiving trajectory and all of that. Before that time, I have never read anything about aging, older adults, or caregiving. It wasn't just my area of interest. I wasn't just interested about it. So when I wanted to do that, and I went to Kent State website, the Department of Sociology, I found about 2 to 3 professors in medical sociology who were doing something on aging. and I reached out to them and I read some of their works and it really aligned with me. Mind you, I have never done anything about aging before now. So I do not have any papers or any publications to boast of to say, oh, I have done this many researches that I've and I have so many publications on this area. No, this is me being honest in my statement of purpose and saying that, look, I have no experience in medical sociology. I have never done research on older adults, but this is a personal life experience that happened to me that has motivated my interest in this area of research. And looking at the incredible research that members of the faculty at the Department of Sociology at Kent State University have done, I feel like this is the right place for me to get the knowledge that I need to pursue my career goals of becoming a social gerontologist. Sometimes it is as easy as that. But then I didn't go there with a pity story that, oh, take me in because I lost my grandmother to elder abuse. I am saying that, yes, I have not worked on medical sociology or older adult research before, but I have a bachelor's degree in sociology. I have a master's degree in industrial sociology, pardon me. I have this qualification. I graduated with a first class degree from my undergraduate program. I have gone to this number of conferences, or I have a publication on the way, or I do not even have any publication on the way. It is not a defining factor. So sometimes people are worried about the wrong things. Some universities don't care about all of those things. They just want to see you, they want to see the passion in you, and they want to see that you have what it takes to succeed when you come into that program. I wrote that in my statement of purpose. This is what I've done. This is what I have not done. This is what I'm hoping to do. And this is why I chose this program, because I have seen the incredible work that the members of the faculty have done in this research area. I read one of the books published by one of the faculty members, and I talked briefly about it because there is word limit. You are trying to get your points across with very limited words. So that is another part. That is why I said statement of purpose writing as like a can have a different video on its own where we talk about it for over an hour and we are not done. But if you go online, you can find different videos on writing award-winning or outstanding statement of purpose. And I mean, I can actually make another video on writing a very good statement of purpose. So watch out for that on Eduopportunity Network. That may be coming up very soon. But then writing your statement of purpose should be very passionate. It should be very personal. Don't go on there writing according to Karl Marx or according to Emily Durkheim. No, this is you. Let it feel as personal, as professional, and as intimate as possible. Let it be that when the professors or the admission committee read their personal statement, it feels like they can see you, they can talk to you, and they are looking directly into your eyes when they read that statement. So you need to make it as personal as possible. Stop citing what some founding fathers in your area of research said 50,000. Stop, just make it very personal. I talked about briefly the caregiving situation in the country of origin where I came from. I talked about the challenges of people depending completely on informal caregiving. I talked about how caregiver burnout may inform or may result in elder abuse. I talked about how the experiences of my grandmother and personally witnessing it has motivated my interest to pursue my career in social gerontology. And then I moved briefly to my background, my education, what I have done, what I'm hoping to do. I talked about what the university website offers, what I see on their website, their opportunity to get funding to do this. Yes, if you're applying and you require funding, as most people do, you need to chip that into your statement of purpose and explain why you would be a good fit for the program and why funding you would help you to achieve that goal. So there's a lot to statement of purpose, but this is just like a brief way of saying that these are some of the things that you need to write in your statement of purpose to convince the admissions committee that you are worthy of that investment. Yes, getting a graduate assistantship is an investment on you. So you have to prove to them why you deserve that investment. After you have written your statement of purpose, I would advise that you read it. If you have a friend who is good at writing, you can send to them, have them proofread. They may see things from a different angle than you. They can advise you. If you can send to a couple of people you trust, you can do that. Brainstorm on the ideas, chip out whatever is not supposed to be in there, take out anything that is unnecessary repetition. Ensure that in whatever 2 or 3 pages you have been given, make sure you write the best story of your life in that word limit. Another admission requirement document most people will ask is a CV. I know it's not usually like always a requirement, but it would be nice to have like a good CV. Make sure it is structured, more looking like an academic CV rather than a job CV. Yes, there is a difference between an academic CV and a like a work CV where you're trying to apply to a job. An academic CV is quite different in a little way more than that, where you're able to talk more explicitly about your research, what you've done. If you have any publications, you've gone to any conferences, you can put all of that down there. Another requirement for applying to schools is usually recommendation letters. Getting recommendation letters is easy for some people and it is not easy for some people. I feel like it is easier for people who graduated, say, in the last 5 years. But for somebody who probably graduated 7, 10 years ago, most of us do not keep in contact with our professors. So going back to just shoot that code email and be like, hey, professor, do you remember me from your class 10 years ago? I mean, people get like, I don't think I should do that, or I probably don't even have this person's contact, or oh, maybe this person doesn't even remember me. But do it regardless. If you can get a personal contact, reach out. If you have their email address, send an email to them, reach out to them, explain yourself, your situation. Oh, if this person knows you personally, the better. Find a scenario or an event that happened in the past that could easily joggle that person's memory to remembering you. Or, for example, you were that student who was not very social while you were in school, and maybe a professor will not actually remember you. Shoot them an email regardless and be like, oh, I was your student in Psych 105 or Psych 102. I'm applying to a university in the US and I would like a recommendation letter. Shoot that email. Ask somebody. And I know some universities also understand that people have graduated from school many years ago. So some of them really require both academic and professional CV, recommendations. So you can get somebody who is a professor who taught you many years ago, and you can get one from where you currently work or where you have worked in the past. So whichever one, you just have to work with what the school requirements is. But if you graduated within the past 5 years, I think it is very much easier for you to reach out to a professor and ask them like, oh, I need you to please write a recommendation letter for me and all of that. And I would say professors are busy. They have so much on their plates. So you can give them ideas or talking points, juggle their memory, tell them what you did when you were in their class. If you led a class discussion, if you led a group project, what the group project was about, give them as much information. Don't leave it to them to write a generic recommendation letter for you. Give them as much information as they would need to write a very strong recommendation letter for you. So that is important. I think most schools require to have at least 2 to 3 recommendation letters. Where the recommendation letters get daunting is when you have more than 1, 2, 3 schools you're applying to. It seems like a burden on the people, but these are some of the investments and sacrifices others have to make for you while you are pursuing the career or the life that you want. So be sure to be appreciative of them. Send them reminder emails from time to time. I mean, you can just be like, hey, I just wanted to remind you about my recommendation letter. Make sure they get it done. within a stipulated time frame. And I think this is something I should have mentioned earlier. When you go online and you want to apply to the schools, you can see when the application seasons are open and you can see the deadlines. At least be shooting to get your application submitted and all your documents to the university at least 1 month before the deadline. You don't want to be submitting close to the deadline or when things are late, especially because some universities just make decisions on a rolling basis. Like they just do like, oh, as the applications come, they are reviewing it. You don't want to be coming at the last when they found their best candidates or they've made their decisions. Meanwhile, some universities wait till the very end when everybody have submitted the application before they review and make their decisions. Regardless, you need to be shooting to get your application submitted at least 1 month before the deadline. I mean, it might be possible. If it's not possible, the most important thing is to get it done days or weeks before the deadline. Time difference is another thing. 12 a.m. American time EST is probably different from Nigerian time, 12 hours away or whatever. So you don't want to be working on those kind of risky decisions. You want to make sure you are done with your applications early enough. So when you give people recommendation letters to write for you, you also need to be kindly following up on them to make sure that they also work with this time frame and they get things submitted as early as possible. Obtain your transcript, your certificate. I talked about that earlier. Take those tests if they are a requirement. IELTS for some schools, but not a USA requirement. GRE, GMAT, TOEFL, all of those tests are very, very important. I also want to talk about interviews. For some universities, you just apply, submit all your documents, and that's it. They make their decisions and they get back to you on whether you get accepted or not, whether you have funding or not. But some universities or program go one step further and they do interviews. If you get to the interview stage, most likely, you have been shortlisted to get through the interview, go through to the interview stage means at least they see the prospect in you, the chances of you getting into the program or chances of you being funded into the program. You need to prepare for the interviews. You need to know everything about the program. You need to know everything about the degree you are pursuing. You need to be confident. You need to be able to speak for yourself. You need to ask reasonable questions. So an interview is part of it, but it is not for all programs. If an interview is part of the requirements for that program, you need to start preparing ahead of time. You could actually do like a mock interview with a friend who has done something like that before, or somebody who just wants to practice with you. I know interviewing for either a job or for school is daunting. You feel that tension, that anxiety, talking to people, and you're worried, like, oh, am I saying the right things or I'm not saying the right things, all of that. But definitely having mock interviews with your friends or partner or whatever could help you with that. So once you get all your documents, you upload them, you submit them, you pay the application fee, and you just wait. You keep praying, holding on, and waiting to get that email. And the email we are all looking forward to is the email that says, congratulations, you got accepted. Congratulations, you're getting the funding. Congratulations, we're glad to welcome you into our program. That is what we are looking for. And I'm hoping that as many people who watch this video are able to get such congratulatory news at the end of the day. So let me just do a recap of what we talked about so far. Some of the most important steps to applying to schools in the USA is knowing what program you're going for. Why are you going for this program? How does it satisfy like a career goal, a professional goal, or a personal goal that you have for yourself? What programs are what universities do you want to apply to? Are you applying to dream schools, target schools, or are you applying to safety schools? How many schools are you applying to? 3, 4, 5, as many as possible. Getting the application fee. How much do these schools charge for application fees? And another thing I would say is when you are trying to apply to schools, go on their website as many times as possible. Sometimes they have free application seasons. They say, oh, if you are able to submit your application between this time frame, between these dates, you can get like a discount or free application season. So that is something to also look out for when applying, getting all your documents ready, reaching out to a faculty member, whether it is a requirement or not, preparing your CV, writing your statement of purpose, getting recommendation letters from professors or professionals you've worked with in the past, pay your fees, submit your letters, your transcript, your documents, your certificate, all of that. And just pray and hope that you get that email requesting for an interview or not, or you just get that congratulatory email that says you have gotten into the program and you have gotten accepted. And like I said, when you write your statement of purpose, make it as personal as possible. Do not make it generic. Do not copy somebody's story. Write it and make it look as real as possible, as such that the people who read these letters and the statements of purpose, they are able to see your passion from those letters. They are able to see what you want to do, why you want to do it, and how you think you are able to achieve this. It's possible that you're going to get more videos breaking down things either about statement of purpose or interviews in the past, but this is just like a general video talking about the different steps and stages and the requirements of successfully navigating application to the USA universities. And please do not forget to go on the Eduopportunity Network USA website to download our free ebook and share with your friends and families. It is completely free, and the resources on that ebook is worth millions of dollars. It is a lot of money that you get for free. So thank you guys for watching this video. Looking forward to hearing all of those good news and everything. Bye.